The Sony FX6 has been one of our best-selling cameras ever since it came out all the way back in 2020, and it's only recently you can find them in stock anywhere. Well, there are a few key reasons why the FX6 has been so popular over the years and continues to be across so many different markets. It's incredibly versatile in so many ways, and we've used it a bunch, with the most recent being on an internal series of interviews for an apprenticeship week video with Sony's new 50mm f1.4 G Master lens. Physically, the camera pulls design influence from both the FS5 Mark II and the FX9. It is made out of magnesium alloy, and at 890 grams, it's incredibly light, which makes it great for hand holding all day or running on lighter support equipment such as a smaller tripod or gimbal. The sides of the body are crammed full of buttons and dials for you to quickly adjust and control anything you may need to while shooting. The camera can easily fit into run and gun environments, as well as more controlled ones. I really like the top handle and the side handle here as well. Both are laid out to make controlling the camera with them easy and fast, and they both feel great in the hand. You can comfortably and easily operate the camera however you want to thanks to these. You can even relocate the handle if you want to get the FX6 on your shoulder, which you can with some rigging. When using Sony EMount lenses with it, it feels really well balanced in the hand. It also has a fantastic array of inputs and outputs, such as an SDI out, which means it can easily slide into a massive range of productions that demand it, timecode in and out, and 2 full-size XLRs on the top handle. I just wish they had a 3.5mm input on the body when you don't want to run the top handle on the camera. It also uses Sony's BPU battery, which there are loads of options for, and they will last ages while shooting, which means carrying less of them around and changing less often, which is great. It also has really nice controls on the side of the body for audio, and a lock button to prevent you from making accidental changes to your settings. For anyone shooting video, controlling your exposure with an ND is an incredibly common thing to do. The FX6, like a few other cameras in its class, has an excellent built-in ND system that is a massive reason as to why so many people choose to grab this camera. The ND system the FX6 uses is an electronic internal ND system, similar to the one found in the FX9. It can provide you with 2 to 7 stops of ND throughout its range, and you can be very granular with how much ND you want using the wheel here on the side of the body and using the different controls. You can easily switch between controlling it like a stepped ND or variable using this switch. It also has an auto ND mode, and this will automatically adjust the amount of ND as you're shooting. For run and gun filmmakers, this is awesome, as you can focus on what's happening in front of you and making sure you are sharp and composed properly instead of worrying about changing a component of your exposure. With this cluster of buttons, dials and switches, you can switch between the physical stops, electronic variable ND or auto ND modes. This will make operating the camera much faster and means you can use the multifunction dial to control either ISO, white balance or shutter. The FX6, like the FX9, also features a clear filter, which is a small thing, but this means that you will not have any shifts in back focus when changing between ND and clear, which was an issue with previous FS cameras. The quality of the NDs is good, but can shift a little green towards the higher stops of it. However, you can white balance to get around this. Once you've used the camera with an ND built in, you really will not want to go back to using one without one, as it will save pretty much any type of filmmaker time while they are shooting, especially run and gun solo operators, which this camera is so popular with. Autofocus has gotten so good in video cameras over the past few years, and we are now at a point where it is genuinely a great tool for camera operators to use and help them get shots that are far more difficult when pulling focus manually. The autofocus in the FX6 is fantastic, and for the key demographic of the FX6, it's another feature that helps solo operators as well as crew jobs easier while filming. The improvements in autofocus have made Sony's native EMount lenses even more popular, as people want to use it. EMount not only has loads of lens options regardless of your budget, but thanks to the shallow flange depth of EMount, you can also adapt a huge range of lenses onto it as well. Lens choice is a massive factor for anyone investing into a camera ecosystem they want to grow in as they progress as a filmmaker. The FX6 features a 10.2 megapixel full frame back illuminated sensor that has excellent dynamic range performance, much better looking colour than previous Sony cameras, and stellar rolling shutter performance. However, one massive standout feature of it is that the sensor features a dual base ISO, and this will change depending on the gamma you are in, but in S-Log3 it's 800 and 12,800, similar to the A7S III and FX3. This means that you can easily switch on the fly between the two when you're switching between different lighting conditions. For run and gun filmmakers, this is massive, as you don't have to worry too much about your image quality when pushing the camera up to ISOs like 16,000, which still can look good. There are so many different filmmaking styles that this will benefit, and I've heard countless times shots that have been saved because of the extra sensitivity you can pull with the second base. Unlike the A7S III and FX3, the FX6 has the ability to turn off noise reduction in camera. This is great as you can choose to preserve detail in camera to then run noise reduction in post, where you can control it. Or for faster turnaround projects, you can enable as much noise reduction as you would like in the camera so you don't have to do it in post. Partner this with the excellent low light performance of the FX6, you have an incredibly versatile sensor that can really adapt to what you need as a filmmaker. This sensor is a perfect fit for this kind of camera. It's great for people controlling the light, as well as others reacting to light in front of them. This camera will be able to handle a lot of shooting scenarios really well, and I've seen some excellent imagery being published online by filmmakers using the FX6. Another thing that makes the FX6 so incredibly versatile are its recording formats and frame rates. When it comes to compression, you can shoot in a range of XAVC Intra or long GOP formats. One thing to note is that this is proper XAVC-I, not XAVC-SI from the A7S III, so compression should be better in the FX6, and it will be using the same MXF wrapper that FS shooters will be used to. You can shoot in either DCI 4K or UHD in the top XAVC-I 42 10-bit option, which will give you a rough data rate of 300 megabits per second at 30p. The FX6 is capable of capturing DCI 4K up to 60 frames per second, UHD 4K up to 120 frames per second, and Full HD up to 240 frames per second, with no pixel binning or line skipping. And these are all available using the XAVC-I Class 300 in 10-bit 42. However, in its UHD mode, you have a 10% crop, which isn't too much. This is a pretty awesome set of recording formats and actually beats the FX9 in some areas. The high frame rate footage from the FX6 looks good, and having such good internal options makes it very adaptable to different shooting scenarios and styles. You also have the ability to output RAW via the SDI if you really want to get the most out of the camera. The FX6 is a workhorse in every sense of the word, and that even extends into how Sony support it. With so many of them being in the wild now, there are plenty of places worldwide to have your camera serviced by a Sony certified engineer, including us. Having the ability to get your camera serviced quickly and easily is crucial for any working professional who uses their camera as their primary income source, where any downtime for your camera is costing you money. Sony have also supported the FX6 via firmware as well. It's now on the 3rd version of its firmware, and lots has been updated and added across the different updates. However, there are still a few things that owners want adding, with my biggest gripe with the camera being the way you set custom white balance. The system on the FX3 or Alpha cameras is so much better, which shouldn't be the case. So Sony, please allow us to use a smaller box to get more accurate white balance. At its price point, the FX6 offers an excellent blend of features that really do make it an incredibly versatile workhorse of a camera, and for many will be the obvious choice at the £6,000 price point. However, there are some other cameras worth considering, and luckily we've compared them all to each other in our Should You Buy series, which you can check out via the link in the description below. Let us know what you think of the Sony FX6, or if you have any further questions down in the comments below. And if you like the video, please give it a like and maybe consider subscribing so you don't miss out on our awesome upcoming content. And thank you so much for watching.